At the RYA, we're always striving to make sure that sailing is a sport that everyone can enjoy. And all over the country, clubs are opening their doors to disabled sailors. So far, there's over 150 totally inclusive clubs. But there are always many more clubs that might need some help to encourage integration. This film looks at a few of the stories of successful integration, and we meet some of the people who have benefited from just being welcomed at a sailing club. So why are we showing you this? Well, we want more clubs to provide sailing for everyone. Bolton Sailing Club is one example of a positive and welcoming attitude which has enabled them to become a lot more inclusive and expand their membership.
The membership of Bolton Sailing Club has one thing in common. They are all very enthusiastic about sailing, and they're all very enthusiastic about sharing that sailing with others. And there's been a journey again to ensure that people have the confidence and that they develop any necessary skills in order to work with others. We're not radically changing Bolton Sailing Club. This is just an extension to the sailing club. The aim is to make it inclusive for all and to enable people to sail to whatever standard and in whatever way they want to be able to sail. Down in the New Forest at the Spinnaker Sailing Club, the Sailability group and the club work hand in hand throughout the season with common goals. The man behind that drive is Commodore Simon Walworth.
I took over as Commodore in 2011, and part of my personal remit was to enforce and develop our relationship between the club and Sailability. There's no difference between disabled sailors and fully able-bodied sailors. The water is the biggest leveler you've got. Off the water, we all just get on. There's no difference. Everybody just gets on because we're all here to go sailing. We're not here to look at disability, to talk about anything other than sailing, because that's why we're here.
So we've seen the clubs, but what about the individuals themselves who've benefited from an inclusive attitude? Sue Collingridge had a stroke over 10 years ago, and thanks to her local club was able to get back on the water.
Well, I moved down here, about 10, 12 years ago. I'd sailed before, but when I came down here, I didn't really think that I'd ever sail again because I had a stroke. And but I happened to be in Leamington High Street, and somebody said, "Have you thought about sailing again?" And so I said no, and they said, "Well, come down when the season starts, which is in April." So I went. They showed me how I'd be able to get into a boat again. To be out on the Solent, to hear the water lapping about against the hull of the boat, it was absolutely marvellous. So really I discovered that the things I need were a simple set of steps and a buddy, somebody who will go in front of me who can do the things that I can't do, because of course I've only got one hand. So, but everything else, to be out, it was just marvellous.
Vicky Sheen is a visually impaired competitive sailor and a key committee member of her local club.
I was meeting up with a friend who was also, she was able-bodied and interested in learning to sail herself. So we both arranged to go down to Brixham Yacht Club, and they were just really encouraging and enthusiastic, asked what did I need to be able to go out on the water and sail. So we had a conversation as to how they could help me and what support I'd need, and it went on from there. I'm part of a crew on one of the boats, so we go out every Thursday night, and it's an able-bodied crew. So I have my job on one of the boats. I main sheet. On one of the other boats, I actually helm the boat. So I'm just one of the crew. So there's nothing different for me to be able to sail with the other guys on the boat. So it's just about communication and practice, which is the same for any member of that crew.
Will Street has sailed since he was 8 years old. His life changed at the age of 12 when he was diagnosed with a degenerative genetic disorder that affects his nerves and muscle control. Despite his challenges, his passion for sailing has not wavered, and thanks to the positive attitude of his club, he's now gone forward to be a successful competitive sailor with his sights set on the Paralympics.
Always been a sailor. And so I started racing toppers when I was about 8, and it was going really well, and that was before I was disabled. And then because my condition is degenerative, it gradually progressed and things changed while I was sailing, and things started to get a bit harder for me. As my condition started to progress, my club asked me if they asked me to put disabled toilet in for me and a lift so I could get around the club. Sailing is pretty much everything. I can't really imagine not sailing, and through my club it's been like the encouragement that I need to carry on sailing, and it's all through my club doing it.
You can make a big difference with a series of small changes. It really is easy to open up your club to new members of all abilities. And remember, at every stage there's a wealth of help and advice available from the RYA.
The RYA has a lot of resources, and one of the key ones is the disability awareness training. Clubs are often really worried, members are really worried about integrating disabled people. They don't realise that the people, like anybody else, everybody's an individual, and it's all about ability. So we have regional courses, local courses that people can sign up on in disability awareness, so that it gives people confidence. It helps partnership and working together, improves communication skills, and ensures really that everything moves smoothly along.
Barry North is one of a team of volunteers working with the RYA with a specialist knowledge in accessibility.
Many sailing clubs are often put off by the thought of introducing disabled people to sailing because they think that there are so many changes that have to be made and they're complicated and expensive. In fact, it's not like that. Sometimes just buying a tin of paint and painting some white lines on the edges of steps or pontoons can make all the difference. If you are looking for grant funding, it's better to have a proven case of people who will want to come sailing to show that you have demonstrated, you've started, that it's going to happen, and that will help grant funders to believe that you really want this to happen and get people on the water.
There are so many disabled people and their families out there who've never realised there is an opportunity to sail. So why not follow some of the examples you've just seen? There are so many benefits.
The magic ingredient is the enthusiasm to share sailing. People have got to want to share sailing, and they get a reward from seeing others progress. That, I believe, is what motivates them to take this forward and to make it work.
It is about asking questions, and it is about finding out, and it is about willingness. It isn't about having everything perfect for somebody to come along. It's a journey together.
We've never looked upon our disabled group as a threat to our membership. We've always looked at them as additional members who join in, both socially and on the water, and are here for the same reason everybody else, to have fun. There's no us and them, it's all of us, all in this together, enjoying ourselves.
Hopefully you can see in this film that the right attitude in a club really helps. So why not sign up for a local disability awareness course, or just call the RYA for an informal chat.